What occurs when a well-liked British actor eventually loses their cool under duress? Lorraine Kelly's morning program moved from lighthearted banter to total turmoil in just 43 seconds, leaving viewers across startled and the host frantically trying to retake control. The most startling celebrity meltdown in daytime television history was captured on camera last night, and what you're about to hear will forever alter your opinion of your favorite morning host. Greetings and welcome to this special commentary analysis of the most dramatic television event that left social media ablaze until the wee hours of the morning. I'm here to explain exactly what transpired when Pride and Prejudice star Colin Firth, who is always calm, reached his breaking point live on television. On The Lorraine Show, the morning began as any other. Viewers are welcome to another day of celebrity interviews and lifestyle programs by the bright studio lights, that recognizable purple sofa, and Lorraine Kelly's signature smile. Colin Firth had been scheduled to talk about his most recent movie project. This should have been a simple promotional visit for one of the most well-known actors in Britain, but from the moment Colin entered the set, something was off. According to those who know him well, he is a man who is thoughtful before speaking, picks his words wisely, and shows true respect for each interviewer. But even the crowd in the studio sensed the tension in the air this morning. Lorraine got things started with her typical zeal, her Scottish sing-song voice piercing the mood of the morning TV. That being said, we are incredibly happy to have the amazing Colin Firth join us this morning. Leaning forward on the couch in that well-practiced TV host position, she started. I have a question for you now, Colin, my love. Regarding something that has been circulating this week, the first warning sign was there. Viewers who paid close attention could notice Colin's jaw tighten just a little, but his demeanor changed almost imperceptible. It was obvious that he would be ready to talk about his film, his art, and his future endeavors. Rather, Lorraine was heading straight for the tabloids. The problem is, Lorraine went on, her voice adopting the gossipy tone that morning TV hosts have mastered through years of practice. Recently, everyone has been discussing your personal life, and I believe our audience should be aware of the facts. Colin sat up straight with the professional actor's poise that had been his trademark for decades of interviews. Lorraine, I would much rather concentrate on the movie today. We promised to talk about that. There was something beneath the cool, collected tone of his voice, maybe a warning, a polite appeal to return the discussion to more secure ground. Lorraine Kelly, however, didn't appear to hear it, or perhaps she decided not to. She waved her hand dismissively and said, "Oh, come on now. Talking about the elephant in the room is a must when appearing on television. Colin, our audience is intelligent. The documents were read by them. They are aware of what is happening." Colin's face was precisely captured on camera at that precise time, his hands shifting to rest more securely on his knees, the tiny pucker of his brow. In the face of something he obviously hadn't signed up for, he was a man making a concerted effort to maintain his professionalism. "Lorraine, what kind of elephant would it be?" Quietly, he asked. At that point, everything began to fall apart. Clearly satisfied with herself, Lorraine leaned back as though she had just achieved a journalistic coup. "Of course, the rumors of separation, the tales of Livia and you should be able to provide us with something after 20 years of marriage." The ensuing silence seemed to endure forever, even though it was just a few seconds. Colin Firth, the actor who had captivated viewers in the role of Miss Darcy and who had given innumerable roles complexity and nuance, sat there pondering what had just transpired. In short, he had been ambushed. "I see," he responded at last. And no dramatic monologue was as powerful as those two words. "Thus, this has nothing to do with the move." For a brief period, Lorraine's smile wavered, but she persisted. "Don't be like that now. Here, we're all pals. I simply want to know what other people are thinking." "Friends?" The biting edge in Colin's voice caused everyone in the studio to sit up straight for the first time that morning. "Lorraine, is that what friends do? Under false pretenses, invite someone to their show, then surprise them with private questions they have been specially instructed not to answer?" There was an instantaneous and noticeable shift in the atmosphere. The banter that had begun as ordinary morning television was rapidly turning into something far more awkward. Lorraine, the seasoned presenter, squirmed in her chair, her grin remaining fixed but becoming more and more forced. "Oh," she replied, her chuckle sounding hollow even over the TV speakers. "Now you're being dramatic. It's a straightforward inquiry. Colin, you're well known. You have to deal with these things." Colin answered in a low voice, but with the accuracy that only a professional actor could provide. I still have the right to privacy regarding my family, even though I am a public figure. Furthermore, it doesn't imply that I've consented to have my private life examined for amusement. The audience in the studio fell silent. The discomfort literally radiated from every nook and cranny of the space. This was not what they had anticipated from a happy morning conversation program. Lorraine, however, was not going to back down. If anything, she appeared to intensify her strategy, possibly believing that she might use charm to get out of the stressful position. She leaned in once more with what seemed to be a sympathetic expression and said, "Look, I understand you want to protect your privacy. Let's be honest though. Someone has taken a picture of you. Sources are available. The story has already been published. I'm providing you an opportunity to correct the record." Colin's chuckle was piercing and devoid of humor. "You're allowing me to try? Lorraine, how kind of you. And for what precisely am I to feel thankful? The chance for my marriage to be scrutinized like a soap show plot? I'm not doing that," said Lorraine. However, viewers could readily pick up on the defensive tone in her speech. "All I'm asking is that you respond to the rumor." Colin firmly answered, "No, you're taking advantage of rumors to boost your ratings. You're acting as though your curiosity is in some way beneficial to the general population. The type of tabloid journalism you're engaging in is precisely what discourages actors from doing interviews in the first place." Like a challenge, the words lingered in the air. In just a few seconds, Lorraine's countenance had changed from one of surprise to one of outrage to something that appeared to be panic. She answered, "I think you're overreacting," but her voice was less confident than it had been. "Colin, this is morning television. People anticipate a little gossip and some fun. It isn't intended to be BBC News." The mere act of Colin getting up from the purple sofa felt like a seismic shift in the spirit of the room. "Fun," he said again. "Is that the term for interfering in someone else's marriage without that person's consent? When does one transform personal suffering into amusement?" "Now wait a minute," Lorraine replied, her voice lifting a little as if she realized she was completely losing control of the situation. "When you agreed to come on, you were aware of the type of show this was. Don't pretend that you're a victim in this situation." Colin felt as though the word victim struck him like a punch to the body. At last his poise, which had been eroding at the edges, started to break entirely. "Victim," he murmured, his voice possessing a subdued intensity that strangely outweighed the impact of yelling. "You bring me here ostensibly to talk about my profession, but then you start asking me personal things, and when I protest, you claim that I'm exaggerating and that I requested this treatment in some way." With every second that went by, Lorraine's professional presenter mask began to fall, revealing that she was now plainly flustered. "Sit down, Colin. Just relax and let's have a civil discussion. A proper dialogue?" Now that he had finally lost the control he had cultivated throughout his career, Colin's voice was rising. "Do you call this that? Throughout the entire conversation, you have been attempting to get private information from me that I have made clear I do not wish to divulge. You want me to calm down now?" The cameraman alternated between broad angles that showed the mounting host-guest tension and close-ups of Colin's increasingly expressive face, as if unsure of where to focus. Producers could be seen making frantic gestures in the background, obviously attempting to find out how to save what was rapidly turning into a PR nightmare. Lorraine responded, "I'm just doing my job," but now her voice sounded guarded and small. Colin looked straight at her, his eyes burning with a rage that even he seemed surprised at. "Your occupation, interviewing individuals, not questioning them, is what you are intended to do. Your work should be enjoyable, not exploitative. There should be some basic human decency and respect in your work." The only sound in the studio was Colin's voice, which appeared to reverberate throughout the entire room with its passion. "Lorraine, do you know what's the worst part?" Colin went on, his voice like a dagger piercing the astonished quiet. "What's worse is that you sit there with that phony smile seeming as though you care about me personally, but all you really care about is if I'll give you something interesting enough to make you go viral on social media." Although Lorraine's mouth opened and closed multiple times, she was unable to speak. She looked truly stunned, perhaps for the first time in her broadcasting career. The dam had broken. Colin wasn't done, and years of annoyance at intrusive media attention appeared to spill out at once. Have you ever experienced having every element of your private life seen as public property? Do you know what happens to a family when their most private moments are turned into morning TV fare? I think you should keep your location in mind, Colin. At last Lorraine did, trying to restore some sort of control, her voice trembling a little. Millions of people are watching this live broadcast. Colin's reaction was devastating and quick. Oh, Lorraine, I know precisely where I am. I'm sitting across from someone who believes she has the right to snoop around in people's lives because she has a television show. As long as the charge lingered in the air like smoke, it seemed that basic human decency does not apply in this studio. For a moment, Lorraine appeared truly shaken, and her face had turned pale. That's unfair, she said. Colin gave a sour laugh. Do you wish to discuss what is fair? Is it reasonable that after coming here to talk about my job in good faith, I'm being questioned about my merit? Is it reasonable that you have devoted the whole interview to attempting to get private information that might harm the individuals I care about the most? For a second, Lorraine appeared as like she may fight back as she straightened in her chair. Colin, I work as a journalist. People ask me the questions they want answered. Colin forcefully pointed at her and stated, no, you're not a reporter. Journalists are moral beings. Journalists treat their subjects with dignity. When criticized for their actions, journalists don't ambush people and then duck under the cover of their profession. The comments felt like a physical smack to Lorraine. Something visceral and defensive took the place of her meticulously crafted presenting character. You dare, she sputtered. I have decades of experience in this field. I've conducted interviews with Hollywood stars and prime leaders alike. I don't require an actor to tell me how to perform my duties. Colin's face changed and the fury was abruptly replaced by what appeared to be sympathy. And have you ever thought about the expense in all those decades, Lorraine? Have you ever considered the potential harm you could be causing to actual people's lives just for amusement? The query appeared to have struck the mark. A range of emotions passed across Lorraine's face, including confusion, rage, and possibly embarrassment. She started to say, but Colin stopped her with a hand. What is the really tragic aspect? Do you know? His voice was now quiet, yet disappointed as he went on. Today's interview could have gone really well for you. We might have discussed the industry, the new movie, and the art of acting. Your audience might have gained some valuable knowledge. You decided to make this into a circus instead. Lorraine made another attempt to get back on her feet. Colin, the public is curious in your personal life. That's simply the way celebrity culture works. Colin slowly shook his head. No, Lorraine, you're interested in my private life. You've persuaded yourself that the audience is interested in your inquiry. In reality, though, it's voyeurism masquerading as journalism. The ensuing hush was deafening. The intensity of what they were seeing had frozen everyone in place. Even the studio. Colin surveyed the studio, observing the cameras, the crew and the crowd, who had come for light amusement, but were instead witnessing the assault on a man's dignity. What is the most depressing aspect of this whole situation? At last he said, young actors are watching this somewhere, and learning that this is what they should anticipate, that they will be viewed as commodities in their private lives. As long as the ratings are high, that respect is optional. He looked back at Lorraine, who was clearly having trouble keeping her cool now. Lorraine, do you want that legacy? Would you like to be known for that? When Lorraine did speak, it was hardly more than a whisper. I'm only attempting to fulfill my duty. Colin moved carefully and deliberately as he grabbed his jacket off the back of the couch. Then perhaps it's time to consider whether your humanity is worth sacrificing for this work. For a brief time, it appeared as though the interview could come to a stop as he approached the studio exit. However, he turned around, and the weight of years of disappointment and fury was evident in his last words. Today you had the opportunity to demonstrate to your audience that celebrities are people who should be treated with dignity and respect. Rather, you decided to demonstrate that morning television is more concerned with gossip than with human decency. Hopefully it was worthwhile. With a quiet click that seemed to reverberate throughout the entire room, Colin Firth's studio doors closed behind him. Surrounded by cameras, technicians, and a studio audience who had witnessed something unusual, Lorraine Kelly sat by herself on her purple sofa. Suddenly the happy morning show set felt chilly and deserted. No one moved for a few long moments. No one said anything. As she stared at the space where Colin had been sitting moments earlier, the lady who had made her career on wit and effortless charm was at a complete loss for words. She didn't grin when she eventually turned back to the camera. The mask had fallen off completely, leaving behind a raw, uneasy and completely different presenter from the polished one that millions of people were accustomed to. Finally, with a little break in her voice, she answered,
Well, I guess it's time for a little rest. However, it was clear to all onlookers that this was not the kind of break that could reverse the recent events. A simple commercial break and a new cup of tea weren't enough to fix certain items after they broke. Even though the most dramatic celebrity walkout in morning television history was over, the issues it brought up on human dignity, celebrity culture and media ethics would not go away.